Nobody saw it coming. A quiet press conference, a few routine political questions, and then, suddenly, a curveball. A reporter asked Donald Trump something nobody dared to say out loud until now. Would you ever consider pardoning Sean Diddy Combs? The room froze, the cameras snapped to attention, and for a split second, Trump paused, smiled, and gave an answer that sent shockwaves through both Hollywood and Washington. He didn't say yes, he didn't say no, but what he did say opened the door to something much bigger, a potential presidential pardon for a man facing some of the darkest allegations in entertainment history. And here's the part that really shook people. Trump and Diddy? They used to be friends, good friends. So what happened? And why is Trump suddenly choosing his words so carefully? Let's break it all down, because once you hear what Trump really said and what it could mean, you'll realize this story is far from over. Diddy's not just facing bad press, he's staring down the barrel of a full-blown federal storm. For months, headlines have been flooded with allegations, freak-off parties, trafficking claims, financial fraud, and even whispers of blackmail and secret recordings. Multiple homes raided, lawsuits piling up, and now rumblings of a federal grand jury investigation that could blow the lid off everything. The accusations aren't just scandalous, they're dangerous. People close to Diddy have turned against him. Former friends are testifying. Rumors swirl that powerful names are involved, names that go beyond music and into politics, tech, and legacy media. This isn't just about one man's fall. This is about an entire empire built on image, and what happens when that image starts to rot from the inside. And right in the middle of it all, Donald Trump's name suddenly reappears. But that wasn't the whole story, because before the lawsuits, before the raids, before the silence, Trump and Diddy weren't enemies. They were allies. Back in the early 2000s, Donald Trump and Diddy were seen as two sides of the same coin, flashy, powerful, and obsessed with building empires. They weren't just casual acquaintances. Trump once called Diddy a good friend. Diddy showed up at Trump's events. There were photos, interviews, handshakes, smiles. They moved in the same circles, the same red carpets, the same billionaire business rooms. During Trump's time on The Apprentice, he even praised Diddy's hustle, calling him smart, talented, and one of the greats in business. And Diddy, he played along. He never openly criticized Trump until everything changed. When Trump announced he was running for president, the energy shifted, publicly, privately, permanently. Because when Trump crossed into politics, Diddy didn't follow him, he backed away. According to Trump himself, their relationship busted up around the time he stepped into the political arena. He didn't go into detail, but he did mention seeing nasty comments in the media, statements from Diddy that hinted at disapproval, even resentment. And it wasn't just Diddy. A wave of celebrities turned on Trump overnight. People who once toasted champagne with him at parties were now calling him out on social media. And Diddy? He stayed mostly silent, but his silence spoke volumes. Trump said he hadn't spoken to Diddy in years, that the relationship just kind of vanished, like it never existed. But here's the strange part. He didn't sound angry about it. He sounded thoughtful, careful, like someone walking on glass. Why? Because there's something Trump knows that we don't, something he's not ready to say, at least not yet. So when Trump was hit with that question, would you consider pardoning Diddy? He didn't laugh it off. He didn't say it was ridiculous. Instead, he said this: "Nobody's asked, but I know people are thinking about it. I'd certainly look at the facts." And that's when everyone leaned in, because that wasn't a denial. That was a door being left open. Trump repeated that he hadn't followed the case closely, but the way he talked about it, he knew more than he let on. He mentioned that people were very close to asking. He said he hadn't spoken to Diddy in a long time, but he remembered the friendship. He brought up the past, the admiration, the betrayal, and then he said the line that sent chills through the room. "If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me." That wasn't just a political answer, that was a warning. Because if Trump does believe Diddy is being targeted unfairly, he might actually step in. And suddenly, the game changes. If there's one thing Trump made clear during his presidency, it's that he's not afraid to use his pardon power. Remember the headlines? He pardoned Lil Wayne just days before leaving office. Kodak Black walked free after a surprise commutation. Even political allies and controversial figures caught in legal firestorms were granted second chances by Trump's pen. So the idea of Trump pardoning Diddy? It's not far-fetched at all. In fact, it fits a pattern. He's shown a willingness to protect celebrities he sees as mistreated or persecuted by the system. And if Diddy reaches out, or someone in his circle does, it might just take a single conversation to flip the entire outcome of this federal investigation. Because whether you love or hate him, Trump's loyalty runs deep, especially if he thinks someone's being wronged. But this goes beyond loyalty. There may be something bigger at play, something strategic. Let's not pretend Trump does anything without thinking 5 moves ahead. He knows the optics, he knows the impact, and he knows that standing up for Diddy at the right time could rally a powerful base of supporters from the entertainment world and beyond. Think about it. Trump doesn't need to say he's helping Diddy. He just needs to suggest it, to let the rumors swirl, to keep people guessing. Because in the court of public opinion, the suggestion of a pardon is just as powerful as the act itself. And if Diddy's situation continues to spiral, that unspoken trump card might become the ace in his back pocket. But there's more, because buried in Trump's response was something subtle, easy to miss, but incredibly telling. Trump didn't just say he'd look at the facts. He also said something that felt loaded. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. What did he mean by that? Was he talking about the pressure of staying clean in politics? Was he hinting that certain friendships had to be sacrificed for the sake of the presidency? Or was he suggesting that getting close to Diddy, especially now, would be a political risk he's not yet ready to take? Either way, one thing is clear. Trump is watching, he's listening, and even if he's staying quiet, he's not out of the game. Because when you read between the lines, Trump's message is clear. If the time comes and the price is right, I could save him. But who's really pulling the strings behind all this? And is Diddy actually trying to cash in on that old connection? Let's take a step back, because the truth is much bigger than just one question. This isn't just about Trump and Diddy. This is about a web of power that stretches far beyond them, into boardrooms, back channels, and private phone calls we'll never hear. This isn't just about Trump and Diddy. This is about a web of power that stretches far beyond them, into boardrooms, back channels, and private phone calls we'll never hear. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. If Trump is being gently nudged to consider a pardon, that means someone behind the scenes is already moving pieces, lobbyists, lawyers, billionaire donors, maybe even former allies of both men, people who see Diddy not just as a celebrity in crisis, but as a bargaining chip in a much larger game. And let's not forget who's been connected to Diddy over the years: Jay-Z, Beyonce, Clive Davis, Barack Obama, names with reach, names with influence, names who may or may not want the full truth coming out in a federal courtroom. So if Diddy were to fall, and if he's carrying secrets that involve other powerful players, wouldn't some people prefer to see the case quietly vanish? And who better to make that happen than a former president? Since the moment Trump gave that answer, something strange has happened. Silence, no official follow-up, no clarification, no denial. And from Diddy, Not a single public word. That kind of silence isn't normal. In fact, it's the kind of silence that usually means one thing: negotiations. Behind closed doors, away from cameras, something could already be unfolding. Whether it's legal teams coordinating strategy or political advisors weighing the risk, something is happening, and the public isn't supposed to see it. And that silence, it's louder than any statement either man could make. Because when powerful people stop talking in public, that's usually when the real deals are being made in private. But is Trump playing both sides? Is he dangling a pardon as leverage or as protection? Let's bring it all home.